All right, welcome to this rapid revision explainer. We are going to absolutely nail the 4 key gas tests you need for your AQA GCSE Chemistry exam. You know, the ones from section 4.8.2. Let's make sure we get all of those marks banked. So, picture this. You're in the exam hall. You've just done a reaction that's produced a gas, and now you've got this test tube full of, well, something invisible. How do you prove what it is? This is where knowing these simple tests is absolutely essential for getting the marks.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to run through the tests for hydrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and chlorine. Then we'll wrap it all up with a super quick recap. Trust me, in just a couple of minutes, you'll have this down. First up, the big one, the classic, the test for hydrogen gas. Honestly, this is probably the most famous test in all of school chemistry, so you'll definitely see it pop up. The actual method couldn't be simpler. All you need is a lit wooden splint. You take that flame, you put it right at the mouth of the test tube, and then you just listen. And if you hear that really distinctive squeaky pop, boom, you've got hydrogen gas. That sound is just the hydrogen burning super, super fast. It's as simple as that. Hear the pop? It's hydrogen. Okay, next up is the test for oxygen. Now, we're still using a splint here, but there's one tiny, super important difference you've got to remember. So look closely at step 1. You need a glowing splint. What does that mean? Well, you light the splint first, then you gently blow it out so it's not a flame anymore, just a little red glowing ember. Then you put it into the test tube, and if that gas is oxygen, it relights. The glowing ember will just burst back into a proper flame. It's pretty cool to see, actually. That's because oxygen is needed for fire to burn. So just remember the difference. Hydrogen goes pop, but oxygen relights a glowing splint. All right, time for our third gas, carbon dioxide. We can put the splints away for this one because we're going to use a chemical to get our answer. This is the absolute go-to test for CO2. So, what you do is you take some lime water, which is just a clear, colorless liquid, basically calcium hydroxide dissolved in water, and you bubble your unknown gas through it. If it's carbon dioxide, something pretty obvious is about to happen. The clear lime water will turn cloudy, or kind of milky. That cloudiness is actually a solid precipitate of calcium carbonate forming. So if you see that change from clear to cloudy, you can be 100% sure you've got carbon dioxide. And our final test is for chlorine. Chlorine is a halogen, and it's got a really distinctive property that makes it quite easy to spot with the right tool. Now listen up, because this word is so important for getting the marks. The litmus paper has to be damp, not soaking wet, just damp. Why? Well, the chlorine gas needs that little bit of water to dissolve in so it can work its magic. So you take your damp paper and you just lower it into the gas, and it gets bleached. It won't just turn red like an acid would, it will turn white. The color is completely stripped out of the paper. So if your damp litmus paper goes from blue or red straight to white, you've definitely found chlorine. Awesome. That's all 4 tests done. So, let's pull it all together onto one super useful slide. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet for this topic. This is the one to screenshot or jot down. It's everything you need from the AQA spec all in one place. Hydrogen, burning splint gives a squeaky pop. Oxygen, glowing splint, relights. Carbon dioxide, lime water turns cloudy. And chlorine, damp litmus paper is bleached white. If you can remember this table, you've cracked it. So there you go. You've totally mastered how to identify these 4 gases. But the next step, to really push your grade up, is to link this to other topics. Can you remember the reactions that actually make these gases? Like putting an acid on a metal to get hydrogen, or an acid on a carbonate for CO2? That's your next challenge. Keep practicing and you'll smash it.